Live your dreams till they fade away, and let them all go. Broken hearts and broken wings, bring it all, bring everything, and bring the song that you fear to sing. All is welcome here.
I think it's the essence of that song that actually got me to stay that first day that I came to Science of Mind Church some 25 years ago. That sense that we were welcome here with the parts that are singing and the parts that are crying and all of those parts of us that we are learning to put back together as we learn to be inclusive of ourselves. And all of the parts of ourselves. The part that believes, the part that doesn't quite. The part that is courageously marching in the direction of our dreams, and the part that feels, who am I really to have such a thought? And so it's that inclusivity that you sing of that I think is more germane to this moment in history, this moment in time, in our own lives and in our world and in every place that I see, that we are called to a level of inclusivity that stretches us beyond our comfort zones. So today is the last talk in the month theme of celebrating diversity and becoming more inclusive. And if it were easy, we'd be doing it already, you know. It's not quite so easy yet. So today, I'm asking myself and I'm asking us to really imagine what is mine to be and do in this time, in this era, in this state of being that we find ourselves in. So the topic today is living in accord and with sacred agreements. Living in accord and with sacred agreement. I know that for a long time I thought I was doing that, and I was doing on your mark, get set. You know, and that's okay. You got to do on your mark, get set before you can go. I used to be a track star, if you can imagine that. And I know that it's true because I still remember it like it was yesterday, your feet in the blocks, you know, your knee down. Now it doesn't go down anymore, but it did then, and it was really great. And I remember that feeling when they'd say, on your mark, get set. And then when they'd say go, they wouldn't say it. It would be the startling thing that would shock half of us into not going. And then if you knew that you could go anyway, you'd have the edge. So I was one of those little rabbits that kind of went out with that little gunshot. And so learning to live in accord and with sacred agreement is what we come to here for. We come here to learn how to live in harmony with these principles in this teaching. The thing is, we often think we are when we're not yet. And that's okay. It's just good to know. It's good to know that we're at choice, that there's further to go, that there's a bigger idea to catch, that there's greater possibilities just waiting for our readiness to bolt out of those blocks. I used to do high hurdles. Yeah, I did. You know, where this leg goes that way and the other leg goes that way. Yeah, I did. And, you know, I think it's so great that I did that because I have that in me still. I do it in different ways today. But it's the same thing. You know, it's so cool. Once I was in Frankfurt, and I had some young people from Ukraine. I was bringing them to the States, and we were on one of those moving sidewalks, and that was so amazing to them. And for me, it was old hat, and so I got excited by their enthusiasm. And I'm turning, looking at them, and it's going back, you know. And we're talking, we're having this animated conversation. I forgot that when it goes back for a long time, it ends. And it's going back, and, you know, all of a sudden it ended, and without a thought, I did a backflip. And this was only 10 years ago. Can you imagine that? Because my body remembered. I had an agreement that I was an athlete. I had agreement that I could do it, and without thinking I did. So why not? I mean, really. So, here we go. From the Science of Mind. It should be considered right to live and enjoy living. Well, just there. I mean, really. How many of us were taught that? How many of us taught our children? I used to say to my kids when they'd be walking off to school, I'd say, be careful. I didn't say, go have a great day. I didn't say it's an amazing life. I said, be careful. I didn't say learn something fantastic, make a new friend. I said, be careful. Because I thought as a mother, that's what I needed to do. I was not aware yet how damaging just being careful all the time can be. I mean, it really can be. And so, like me, they had to be adults before they unpacked that one. It's really right to live and enjoy living. We do not need to suffer. We don't need to be weighed down by the burdens of the past. We can choose to let them go today. And if we're facing challenges in our right now moment, as many of us are, the best thing we can do is know that there is a light within each of us, no matter the conditions that we're in. And somebody once said to me, if there was just a little pinprick in our heart that light could come out of, just that little teensy-weensy little hole that light could stream out of, it would be enough to light the world. Just imagine that, what we have within us. So it should be considered right to live and enjoy living. To be well, happy, and to express freedom is to be in accord with divine law and wisdom. So some of us were taught that it's better to have nothing and to suffer, and holy people are poor, and all those things. Sacrifice is great. But you know, that just ain't so. That was perpetrated by somebody who didn't know freedom. So we're invited in this teaching to know the truth. And the truth really will set you free, just like it says. So I read you this question in the beginning. What if it took all of us? What if it took all of us to have freedom in our country? What if it took everybody in our family to feel valued and treasured before we could come together? What if it took the group that you're in a level of compassion and kindness and honesty so that what you're about could really demonstrate in the world. What if that were so? You will recognize what I'm going to read now. Paragraph number 2. This is the medicine that's needed today. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with an unalienable right. Certain unalienable rights, not abstract ones, not maybes, certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We are born. We have decreed it so in the formation of our country that we are created equal under the one God that is the one God of all religions, of all faith traditions, the one divine presence that is everywhere in, through, and as the trees, the birds, the songs, and every heart of ours. And we said this. Now, maybe you think you weren't there, but we descended from this. We descended from this idea that we are created equal. And by God, I think we are. So last week, Jeffrey Price, the amazing musician, came up to me after my sharing, and he said, wow, you know what you really need to put into that talk of yours is the Gospel of Thomas. Do you know the quote? I said, oh yeah, you mean about what's in you needs to come out, if not it'll be, he said, yeah, that one. And then we started speaking Russian and French, and it was so exciting that I forgot all about it until this morning. And I went, oh my gosh, I've got to get that quote. And I had so much fun reading the whole Gospel of Thomas this morning. It's 114 sayings of Jesus as translated by Judas Thomas. And the Gospel of Thomas is a book, is a gospel that was written at the time of Jesus or after the time of Jesus, but about what Jesus said. And it was found in the 40s by a farmer. Now, if you ever think that you, one little old person, cannot change the world, just think again. Because everything we do changes the world. Every single thing we do shifts the pattern around us. Imagine this farmer just going about his business, herding up his goats and singing a song and whistling and whatever. And he bumps into the wall and, oops, there's something hard in there. And he digs a little bit and he finds this giant urn, really, really tall. And inside is papyrus writings, ancient, thousands of years old, 2,000 in fact. This was in 1945 or 46, and so it's been called the Nag Hammadi Library. And if you want to hear a side of the spiritual master Jesus, who is the model, the great way shower for each of us, in our faith tradition, that's what we believe, that Jesus was the model. We're moving on towards Easter, so every once in a while I think you'll creep into our conversation here. But in this Gospel of Thomas, he says several things that are very germane to what we're doing today. See if they fit for you. Number 1, and he said, whosoever discovers the interpretation of these sayings will not taste death. We talk about eternal life. The body goes. The spirit never does. The spirit is ever available. The spirit of our beloved people who have left are still spirits. They're still in their wholeness, in that form. And I know that they're there because, they show up in my life. Jesus said, those who seek should not stop seeking until they find. And when they find, they will be disturbed. Hasn't these teachings been a little disturbing sometimes? You mean I have to give up control? I have to give up my way? You mean I have to understand that there's a power for good and we can use it, and maybe I need to give up striving? What if my whole life is based on trying to get there? Now I need to give it up and trust. What a wonderful thing. Not so easy, but wonderful. So, they should not stop seeking until they find it. When they find, they will be disturbed, and when they are disturbed, they will marvel and will rule over all. That doesn't mean they become the ruthless kings and queens of the world. It means that they will know the truth and nothing else can disturb them. Their consciousness rules their life. And then the disciples said to Jesus, "Tell us, how will the end come?" Have you found the beginning? And now you're looking for the end. You see, the end will be where the beginning is. Congratulations to the one who stands at the beginning, for that one will know. That one will know the end and will taste everlasting life. And so the disciples said, "Well, show us the place where you are, so we might seek it." And he said to them, "Anyone here with 2 ears had better listen." I mean, isn't this a different side of Jesus than we studied as a kid? "Come on, wake up," he'd say. You know, like Rumi, I'm going to take you by your feet and shake that silliness out of you. Well, he said the same thing. You better listen up. And here's the thing. He said, and we know there is a light within a person of light. So we are people of light. That we are the living light. That's it. We are the light of God. We are the person of God. In this form, we are the light. So, there is a light within a person of light, that be us, and it shines on the whole world. And if it does not shine, it is dark. So if we're not shining our light, if we think, well, who am I? Just one little person. What can I do? I have this problem, and my problem defines my life. And, you know, if only they'd have been different, and if only I was, and all this other baloney. You know, we are who we are by the great glory of the law of creation. And learning to just be with it and celebrate this life where we're at is a great, great joy and a great freedom. So then he goes on to say, if two make peace with each other in a single house, if two make peace with each other in a single house. So which house is ours? Which other do I need to make peace with? This one, for starters. And then where else? Where else do we need to make peace? Where else are we called to get into harmony? So if two make peace with each other in a single house, they will say to the mountain, "Move from here," and it will move. We learn in Science of Mind that when we do a spiritual mind treatment, which is our form of affirmative prayer, which is an amazing way to enter into a new state of consciousness, when we know that there is one power, one presence, one life, and that we are born from it for it, we can say in the third step of treatment, "So mountain, be gone. I am done with this trouble, this suffering, this whatever." And fully expect that happens. The faith, that level of faith, moves the mountain. And even if the mountain's there, you don't see it anymore. It moves it from your consciousness. It moves it from your focus. And that's what we're asked to do. So here's the thing that Jeffrey said to share. If you bring forth what is within you, what you have will save you. Isn't that great news? Really. If you bring forth the gift that you have, that light that you have as a light being, if you bring that forth, it will save you. And you know what he said before, and if you don't, it's dark. Right? Well, dark is bad enough, but listen to what he went on to say. And if you do not bring forth that which is within you, it will kill you. That's a little heavy for Sunday morning, sorry. But what does it mean? It means that if we do not shine our light, if we have it within us and we know it and we don't let it out because, oh my gosh, there's only me, there's not enough, what'll they think, blah, blah, blah. If we don't let it out, it's our undoing, killing us metaphorically, numbing us to the great joy that our life is. We all are beings of light. We all have something within us to give. It is never too late to wake up to that. It is never too late to start. I went to Ukraine when I was 54. Didn't know anything. I'd been an assistant in one science of mind class. Just one. Off I went into the wild blue yonder. And it took every speck of everything I had to keep me there. There's an article in a newspaper, the local paper here, that my friend Pat cut out, and she's my reader. I don't read the news, but when she finds something delicious, she gives it to me. And this is a story about a family from the Middle East crossing from Iraq into Syria and trying to create a new life. They tried to create it there, to leave Iraq and go to Syria, and things didn't work, and then they left and went back, and they tried to find a safe place, and they tried that, and that didn't work, and it got worse and worse, and then ISIS was everywhere, and they were trying, and it didn't work, and they applied for asylum to come here, and that didn't work, and they kept playing by the rules. They kept knowing the greatest truth, that their family deserved to be free, to live in a land of freedom, and they had heard that America was the place that they could do that they could be free here, and so they wanted to come. And sure enough, they made it after 10 years. And after 10 years, they're living in Salt Lake City. And he, who was an accountant in his country, is a clerk in Walmart now. And that's a wonderful thing. They're so happy to be there. They have jobs, their children have school, they're learning, they're loving, they're having a great time. And what does that bring up for us? What is our part in that? On Saturday, if you'd like, we are having from 2 to 4, we're hosting a conversation about the refugee situation as it pertains here in Salt Lake City. And we have 4 experts, a panel, and it's free, and we invite you to come and meet some other people from some other traditions and learn about this issue if it touches you. But the minute I read it, I turned to Pat and I said, oh my God, this makes me want to hire him. We could use some accounting. And she said that was my thought exactly. And I thought, what could each of us do to share our resources with the people who work so hard to get to this place of freedom that we often take for granted? And so, what if there was something we could do? What would it be? What if you believed that your life could make a difference? What if you believed that the refugees' life would make a difference in our country? What if you remembered that this country is founded on that? It's founded on people who came from somewhere else, except our beloved native people. We all came here. So what is our part? And, this pertains to what is the way to make peace with the differences in ourselves, in the differences in our family, the differences we see in our church community, in our neighborhoods. This is what we're asked to do. So what if you put spirit first and you said, what could I do about that situation or that situation? It doesn't matter. Pick one. There's plenty. What if we make peace with ourselves and with something else? And what if we take that light within us by just taking ourselves and trusting that it's enough and just show up somewhere and say, use me. What can I do? I remember when Selena said, oh my gosh, she had so much fun going on that food project that Reverend Lynn organized because it felt so good to just be organizing food and making it ready for the people who needed it. And it's not about helping, it's about serving. It's about being part of each other. And so I ask you, what do you need to release so that you can let your light shine? What old story? What fear? What belief? What do you need to release? Because we all, carry something around. And it's time, my dears. It's really time to lighten up and step into the light that we are. And what would you like to embrace? What would you like to know? I want to release fear of taking a stand. I want to release fear of being seen as someone who takes a stand on a controversial issue. I mean, I'm supposed to get along with everything. I want to release that fear. And what I want to embrace is the intention of this country and the power of the truth of this teaching that we are created equal. And this teaching that we are one, all of us, one with another. And I know that as I choose that, as I choose peace, as I choose love, as I choose harmony, that indeed is my experience. Today, your announcements were on your bulletin. I invite you to go to the information table and see what wonderful classes we have starting next week. And I invite you to come. What is this? This is a bolt, the big long thing. This thing here on the end is a nut, and it keeps the washers in place. So when I was working with Christopher talking about this workshop that we're doing today after service for all members, new, renewed, and anybody who's thinking about becoming a member. And then I had a great conversation with Jim Westbury, and we were talking about the power of treatment. And I started thinking about this bolt. And I thought, by golly, this bolt is like the first step of treatment. This is the foundation of my life. This is the foundation of life, right? And then we have these 4 little washers. The first that says, well, if it's the foundation of life, it's the foundation of my life. The second, it says, gosh, if that's true, then anything is possible. That's a thought. And then when you know that anything is possible, then the only thing you want to do is say thank you and give thanks for that anything that's possible. And just to be sure that you allow the law to work with this amazing intention of yours, you let go and you trust and you say, all right, I release it into the infinite law so it can bring it into being, and you say, and so it is. And this little thing is the and so it is. Isn't that cool? Well, Christopher was in the hardware store looking for, we were going to get one for each of you, but it was just too heavy to carry. But we thought if you really like it and you would like a reminder of how treatment works, you can go build one for yourself. But come to the Nuts and Bolts this afternoon. We invite you to do that. So I hope that something here has really served you today. I hope that you've been inspired by something. And the Nuts and Bolts will be here right after service, after a cup of coffee and a snack. And so we invite all of you. And there's going to be a second Nuts and Bolts in April. So about a third of our members have renewed, and the rest say, oh, yeah, I got to do that. So today you can, and next week you can. All right, so I thank you, and I invite the practitioners to join me. Because practitioners are people, yeah, I didn't have time to do. I brought a great slideshow, and Raj is going, what about the slides? It was a slideshow that I created for the interfaith because I realized it was the interfaith and the Parliament of World Religions that got me to Salt Lake City, and I wanted to share it with you, but another time. So now it's time to anchor this talk and this morning and this experience in prayer. And so I invite you, if you have ever been a practitioner, to just stand where you are and join us, knowing this truth with us. And if you've ever wanted to be a practitioner, if you've ever dreamed about taking that path that's going to bring you into healing, that's going to help you reveal that which is within you, then you stand with us now too, so we can celebrate that with you. Because this is the place, amen, this is the place where that can be. And so I just give such thanks for this amazing life that we are given, knowing that it is the life of the infinite by whatever name you call it. And it has been given to me, to each of us here, with such love and unconditional joy that we are born to live and enjoy our life. And this life that we are given is here to manifest the great abundance and glory that is the infinite presence. As I know that that is true, I become fearless because I know that I am never alone, that there is that which in me that has never been disturbed by anything except the truth calling me out. I know that within me is the peace and the presence of love that can heal all things. And I know that I am equal to each and every person on earth. Nothing separates us. We are one with this infinite presence. And we celebrate that awareness today. And these practitioners who are available to pray with you will guide your process so that you remember the great light that you are. So I give thanks for this community, for this building that was built with our thoughts and our muscle and our abundance. I give thanks for everyone in service today who brought this service into being. I give thanks for the glory that comes through this teaching and for the feeling when we align with this divine life. That feeling is unlimited joy, and only good comes from it. And I give thanks for that. And I let it be so, and together we say, and so it is.
I am so blessed. I am so